But I want you to know that Christ is the head of every man, and the man is the head of the woman, and God is the head of Christ. 1 Corinthians 11:3. Wives, be subject to your own husbands as to the Lord, for a husband is head of the wife, as also Christ is head of the church. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. Ephesians 5:22 through 23 and 25. This week, we continue the series with fellowship from Brother Ron Kangas responding to questions from working saints during a conference held in the northeast of the United States in September 2019.
Currently, my husband and I are going through a difficult financial time. Our situation is draining our time, resources, and energy, leaving us tired all the time. It has been proving challenging for our spiritual welfare. What has been your experience in remaining faithful to the Lord, especially in the matters of tithing, spending quality time with Him in the morning, and learning to trust Him? Okay. There's a similar question. Okay, let me read another question, a similar question. I've heard the brothers speak about giving financially 10% to the Lord, plus 5% for the furtherance of the gospel. What if our financial situation doesn't allow this level of giving while meeting with other obligations? Should we give anyway in faith and trust the Lord to provide for any resulting lack? Okay, first on the financial side. At some point in our life with the Lord, we have to settle our situation in light of the Lord's word. No one can serve two masters. You will love the one and hate the other, or despise the one and honor the other, something like that. And so you must allow the Lord to bring you through a thorough dealing regarding money. In my very early weeks in the church life, a brother that was caring for me suggested in my fellowship with the Lord, ask the Lord what you think about. So I simply followed him, and the answer came immediately: money. It wasn't that I consciously thought about it. It's just circulating just below consciousness all the time. And then began thorough, even severe dealings with money. Not loving money, not trusting in money, managing money. And so, I know what it is. This goes back decades. I know what it is to be under the weight of credit card debt. And you just barely pay the interest plus a little bit of the balance. And then when the Lord in His mercy brings you into a situation where you can clear it all, your whole being is set free. Because that's pressing on you night and day. So there are a couple other factors here. One is very simple. And it's how I live now in my post-debt period. I just don't go into debt. I just don't buy something that I can't afford. I use my credit card for convenience. I clear it every month. They don't gain a penny of interest. They may try, but they can't do it. And so I live in Southern California. I moved there from Texas. In Texas, I had a house. You could afford a house in Irving, Texas. That same house in Southern California would cost at least $750,000. And so, way back in 1975, I was living in California, bought a house for $44,000. Now that house would sell for about $650,000. So if you were in California the whole time, you are doing fine, right? Well, you moved there, and I realized, look, I'm not at my age going to go into debt on a house loan. I'm simply going to rent a house I can afford to rent. This is how much I can devote each month for rent, and this is it. So there's that side. Then on the giving, okay, this is now central matter. But a couple things here. Yes, Brother Lee presented that in ministry, 10%, then 5% for the gospel. Please don't take this as a legality or as a law. I suggest a very different approach. And underlying this approach is this. There is such a thing in God as what I would call the law or the principle of giving. It's clearly revealed in the Word. When you give to the Lord, you activate the law, and He will give in return. This is unchanging. It doesn't mean you give for that reason. The prosperity preachers try to suck money out of you for that. Give to me and you'll be rich. No, give to you so you can be rich. And so I would hope that all of us would start to practice this law of giving, but we should start where we are and where our faith is. And let's just say at the beginning of every year, you consider with the Lord, according to my feeling and according to my faith, what percentage of my income shall I give? And you may have the feeling, 3%. I say, good for you. Amen. 3%. Don't compare yourself with anyone else. Don't measure yourself by a standard. The Lord doesn't want you to go beyond your faith and do unwise things like I did in 1967. What did I do? One brother's giving a testimony. He said, the money we earn, the money we have, that's all for the Lord. That's not for our human living. So I said, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be spiritual like that. And so I gave my entire summer teacher's salary in one big offering. Then I found out I can't pay the rent. I don't have money for food. I need help. So what I learned from that is don't do dumb things like that in the name of spirituality. Or because someone made that suggestion. But if you check at the end of the year, you are giving 3% of whatever it is. That's your thought. I earn or I receive something, I give. And you will find out somehow by the end of that year, some unexpected finance will come to you. And so I started practicing that. Because in the Old Testament, the tithe is a tax. So we're not giving a tithe to the government. We're paying our tax. We're fulfilling the law. We're avoiding imprisonment, okay? And so always the kingdom principles are higher than the Old Testament, but they are fulfilled by the divine life within. And so I don't know when this started, decades ago. Every year, I would consider before the Lord to revise the giving upward. And then I would check with my wife to be sure she has the faith to match this. If she doesn't, I will accommodate her without criticizing her. So I can't tell you what the percentage is now, but I'm free to say this. The 10-5 is ancient history. And because this is a principle, it's a law, and when you activate it, then this frees the Lord to say, then I'd like to give. The first fruits are the Lord. So honestly, whenever a supply comes from any source, my first thought is, thank you, Lord, I can give to you. And Daniel prayed in 1 Chronicles toward the end, all that we give to you comes from you. If someone is in debt, then I would just seek the Lord. I'm not a financial counselor. I can't give specific help. I would ask the Lord, Lord, in your mercy, over the next several years, give us a way to be released from this and never to get into it again. And there was a brother in the training who had a huge credit card debt. The company took advantage of college students who never had these, and it was a huge amount of money. And he received this kind of fellowship. But maybe 15 years later, now he's in his early 40s, he sent me a text. I'm clear of all debt now. Just rejoice with me. So the Lord will give you a way. He's righteous, but he's also very merciful. And so, being limited in your ability to do these things, with work, school, and family needs, I find it really hard to have a home meeting or participate in the church life beyond the Lord's Day on a regular basis. I am also limited in my ability to read the Word and ministry. Is this a sign of lack of absoluteness or not seeking the kingdom first? No, it's a sign that you're human. Okay? No, in no way, because the question itself indicates your absoluteness and you're seeking the kingdom first. It's just that this is your situation and you need to bring the whole matter to the Lord and ask him, how do I live you? And then you lower the standards you have put on yourself, okay? It's better to read the Bible 10 minutes a day than to vow to read 40 minutes a day and not read at all. So just start small where you are. If you want to have a time with the Lord at the beginning of the day, and I know people can cite ministry, Brother Lee said this number of minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, but you're starting with no minutes, or a few minutes and then no minutes. So start small. Start with 5 minutes. And then you realize, I can do this. I can do this. And the Lord is with me in 5 minutes. So after a couple of weeks, I'm going for 7. I'm going for 7 now. This is how you build it up. You don't build it up by being weighed down by all kinds of laws and requirements that you think are from the God of grace. That your heart is, you want to know how to be with him, you want to have time with him, you don't know how to do this in the midst of the complexities of human life. Lord, shepherd me, guide me, lead me, teach me, and he will. Okay. Question. What is the proper arrangement for parents with young children who are too young for children's meeting to be able to be in the meetings? Okay. The word proper is okay, but I can't say what is proper. This is my being from another time zone, giving you advice on how to take care of the matter. I won't do that. But I can just let you know what our practice was, but this may not be workable anymore. That I'm in Anaheim, and the youngest child is 5 months old. And his older brother is 4, and his sister is 6. So his sister's in children's meeting. His older brother is in some kind of pre-K meeting. And there's infant care. There's infant care. This is what the church felt to have. If the parents feel good about it, they're not required to do this. And I remember going to pick up my younger son, Philip. Maybe by that time he's 7 months. And you know who brought him to me with a smile? Sister Lee. Sister Lee was serving with the infants. If there's not that, then you have to consider to what extent can they be with you for part of a meeting. If that's not a possibility, another option which we practiced is 3 or 4 mothers get together and take turns caring for the children. So 3 out of the 4 can do this. I know one situation where a couple, they got a child, and they stopped coming on the Lord's Day, and so someone asked them, not interrogating, they said, well, this is our child's nap time. So we can't come to the meeting. She has to sleep now. Well, probably I wouldn't say anything what I would like to say if it's nap time. Let her nap during the prophesying meeting, okay? And then if she wakes up, she's hungry, then the mother, not the dad, right? I never nursed any of my kids. And let the mother go out and take care of her. Or sometimes, look, even if the children are in children's meeting, the mother serves in children's meeting every 3 weeks or every other week. So it's her turn to go into the meeting. Child 1 is sick, she has to stay home. And then 2 weeks later, child 2 is sick, so she has to stay home. So 6 weeks, no meeting. I think the brother then let her exercise some mercy for his wife and say, look, you've got to get to a meeting. I'm not going to give up my responsibilities of a father and of a brother, but you've got to go to a meeting. Let me stay home this time. Okay, that's a response. How do we keep ourselves from being swept away by the tide of the age, while also, by necessity, living actively in the midst of it? How can we advance in our profession and care for our family without letting these things rule us? Well, Romans 12 gives us the opener. We need to be not conformed to this age, not conformed to it. The second thing is, you can learn from Daniel. Once he was educated in Babylon, and from that time until an advanced age, he was in what we would call governmental service at a very high level. So high, and he was so capable, that when the kingdom was transferred to the Medo-Persians, the Persian king recognized his capacity and put him in the highest position next to the king. And we know the story when those that opposed him knew he was praying, and they lured the king to pass a law, sign a law that you can't pray for 30 days. So Daniel won't stop praying. He's headed for the lion's den. This is what the king said, how he addressed him. Daniel, servant of the living God. Daniel, the God whom you serve continually, will save you. So while he is functioning on that high level, practically and outwardly, as arranged by God, inwardly, he is for Jerusalem. Inwardly, he's an Israelite. Inwardly, he's praying for the prophecy of Jeremiah to be fulfilled. And so, Brother Lee's definition of being a full-timer is not dropping a job and spending all the hours with the gospel, with church service, studying the truth. He said the meaning of being full-time is living to the Lord. So we can learn to live to the Lord in the midst of all these human things. Now, advancing in our profession. I recommend this. I don't think there's any spiritual value to mediocrity. Whatever you're going to be, you should develop and be the best. I believe in lifetime learning. I'm still listening to lectures from the Great Courses Company. I want to learn more of this and learn more of that. It doesn't occupy me. It just fills in the time when I'm driving. Listen to part of a lecture. Okay. So the same thing with your profession, but you have to consider, is there a cost? Is there a snare? And you have to know when to set the limit. Because Pharaoh is behind the scene, who wants to enslave you, who wants to usurp you. All right. Okay, as a husband, how do you head up your household by love and not by force or control? Well, I'm glad you don't want to use force or control. But love isn't alone. Marriage, I repeat, is a life of intimate mutuality under the headship of Christ. So you yourself, as the man, must learn to live under the headship of Christ. This is in God's creation, 1 Corinthians 11. I know of the anti-patriarchal, the pro-feminist movement who just recoil at this, but the head of the woman is the man. The head of the man is Christ. The head of Christ is God. But that doesn't mean you dare abuse her, misuse her, dishonor her, disrespect her, treat her like a doormat, like a slave. But if you're a man, you must be the head to her. And you need to learn to be the head by being under the headship of Christ. But the expression of your headship will be love, light, and life. But it will be there. The weight of it will be there. And you sisters can test what I'm going to share now. You can examine whether this is accurate. But when a sister is considering a brother or they're about to enter a courtship, of course, attraction, love, compatibility, these are factors. But they need to be able to respect you. And they need to be secure with you. Because these are sisters fully given to the Lord. And they want to honor the Lord's word and the Lord's governmental arrangement. And they are willing to place themselves under the headship of their husband. But they're not going to do this blindly. And there need to be some indicator. You're all in a learning stage that you are learning yourself to be this kind of person.
Thank you for joining us today. To hear the complete recording and other messages, please visit livingtohim.com. If you would like to receive regular updates from us, please subscribe to this podcast and join our mailing list on our website. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where our handle is @livingtohim.